And sometimes the way we behave in society have nothing to do with your nature.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Yes, you are listening to Visionary Talk Radio. I want to thank all my fans and family again around the world for being our friends, supporting us on Visionary Talk Radio all the time, right? You know, the fear that we have as a people, and when we have that fear as a people, you find we're doing things that we don't even want to do. Because fear dictates the direction. If you hold on to it, it will dictate you. It will tell you what to do. It will tell you what to say, what not to say. That, and we know we call it fear the demon. That is a Satan, that's a devil. Where's that devil coming from? You see, a lot of Christian people, not all, a lot of Christian people believe if we say the devil in the ground, it gives us a good comfort. You see, you don't want to believe that you are so evil. So you say Satan is beneath the ground, he's under the ground with a pitchfork. How do you look? He dressed in red. Yes, that is what they will say. He dressed up all in red. You see, that is what we love to say because it comforts the soul. You don't want to believe that you are so evil in your ways. And that's what the Bible says. The Bible says move away from your ways. No one else's ways. You develop that ways. You see, because first of all, you must understand the culture that you live into. If you don't understand the culture what you live into, of course you're going to always go into the wrong direction. That is why I say to my people, you have to be careful and conscious and mindful of the culture that you live into. So you always have to be careful because the culture predicts how you're going to react. The culture predicts you from 20 years from now, the things how you're going to behave. You see, sometimes we don't understand the culture. So this is what I'm saying to you, or we don't understand what exactly is culture. You see, a lot of times we get it mixed up. We feel our opinion have to do with the culture. You see, sometimes your opinion have nothing to do with the culture. The culture is what you live every day. If everyone is getting gas at a certain time, that is your culture. We all know what is gas station. So that is your culture. We all have a store, a corner store. That become your culture, a period of time. If what you call a rap music, that is your culture. R&B, a period of time. But if I have something that I think is worth something and no one is doing it, no one is using it, it's not in the culture. It's like what you call style and fashion. I might invent something. It might be very good. Everyone might like it, but it might not last. It did not stay in the culture. It's not our culture. You see, what stays in the culture, whatever invention, it become part of us. It become the culture. Education, universities, is a part of the culture. It's part of our culture. We all know what is university and what the university stands for. All right, prison become a culture. All of these things become your culture. And the way you behave in society become the culture. If you dress a certain way and all of these things. So what I'm saying to you, the churches become the culture. You cannot run away from that. You see, you cannot move away from those things. So if you try to move away from these things, it means to say either two things. You just don't care about your culture or you don't want nothing to do with it. But it don't mean that you separate from the culture even though you don't care about the churches. You might not be a Christian, but you're still within the culture. You see, that is culture. So that is why Christ was saying to us, be careful of the culture that you choose. Whether it's a Trinidad culture, whether it's a US culture, whether it's a Canada culture, African culture, whatever culture. You see, because that is what we live into, and sometimes we don't realize it. I hope I'm explaining it right to the people, because a lot of times people don't understand culture and behaviors and the way we behave in society. And sometimes the way we behave in society have nothing to do with your nature. The way you behave in society is what the culture predicted for you. They want you to react a certain way. So of course they're going to program that culture for you to act a certain way that have nothing to do with your human nature. You understand? Of course you do. You're a Christian. All right. So when we talk about culture, that's what I was saying. Or you're going to know. That's what Christian people say. Christian people say that Christ is going to be a Methodist, Christ is going to be a Baptist, Christ is going to be a Catholic, and all of these things. But what is the church's culture? What culture are they practicing? That is how you're going to figure it out. Because if you were 7 Days Adventist and you practicing certain things, like homosexual, you know God don't want nothing to do with that. You know Christ don't want nothing to do with that. If you practicing lying and cheating, Christ want nothing to do with that. So what's your culture? The culture must be based on truth, moral value. If the culture, if the churches don't stand on moral value, not tradition. You see, that is the problem that a lot of people face today. They have problem with tradition. Tradition not going to help you out. It's not going to do nothing for you. Your culture not going to do nothing for you. What going to do for you is moral value, integrity. This is the culture that our churches must stand on. If your church is not standing on that, you don't have God within that church. There is no Christ within that church, regardless whatever religion, whatever you may call yourself. Whether it's Baptist, whether it's Catholics, whatever religion you call yourself. And even though you read the Bible and you don't have no religion, you still have to stand on something. What's going to take you to the scriptures is moral value. So that is what the scriptures going to reveal to you. That is the standard of the Bible. That is the standard of the scriptures. That is the standard of God. And a lot of us don't understand that. You must stand on the foundation. What is your projection? And let's say you throw away all of your projections. What are you going to stand on? You still have to stand on truth. So if your church is not dealing with truth, God wants nothing to do with that. And that is why some people get caught up in their culture and say, within the churches I'm talking about. And what they say to themselves, even though it have sinners in the churches, I can still go and pray within the churches and God going to answer my prayer. And God, you see, that is a demonic force right there. God cannot save you and you alone. It's not about you, it's about the nation. So that is why I keep saying it to you, what's your culture? In case you don't understand the culture, I come from the Caribbean, and for those who listen outside there, and if I ask the people where I born, where I came out from, and I ask them, what's your culture, right? They might say to you, my culture, Trinidad and Tobago invented a steel pan. They might say, that is my culture, that is true, that is the truth, but that is not all the culture. The culture is deeper than just the steel pan. The culture is just deeper than reggae music. The culture is deeper than that. The culture is the way you relate with one another. The culture is the way you speak to one another. Good morning, good afternoon. All of that is your culture. And all of that comes with moral value. That is what it's about. So if you don't have those things within your culture, you don't have what you call a healthy culture. It's not going to be. But let me go back to the churches. When the churches talking about Christ will be a 7 Days Adventist, so God going to be this, you got to look at the culture and see what they are practicing out of the churches, not just inside the churches. When you walk out in the streets, how are you relating with one another? What do you believe in one another? You see, that is culture also too. So if you have arrogance and ignorance in your psyche, that is have nothing to do with God. God did not command that for you. God commanded righteousness for you. And if God commanded righteousness for you, righteous means integrity. That is the essence of righteousness, integrity, moral value. That is the moral value. Righteousness. That is your culture. I'm talking to Christian people. That is your culture. Your culture is not to sit in the church and follow what you call I call them the demonic forces, what you call the seculars, the people who have no religion, the people who don't believe in God. We not talk, that is what you call the seculars. We're not concerned what you believe. Because if you follow what you believe, I will believe in nothing. That is what I'm saying. We don't want your beliefs. We want the belief of God. What is in the scripture, that is what we want as a people. That is what we want as a nation. That is what you must stand on. Because many people do not have the foundation of integrity. We can see the seculars outside there. Look at their prisons and you can tell. Look at their schools' activities and you can tell. Just look at the seculars' ways and you can tell they have nothing to stand upon. What they say they get is democracy, and when you look at it, they don't even have democracy, because democracy don't care for the people. Under their rules and their regulations, their democracy. You understand? So when we begin to wake up now into Christ consciousness, this is the foundation. That is what it's all about. The foundation is integrity. You have no integrity, you don't have Christ consciousness. You don't have moral value, you don't have Christ consciousness. And if you have integrity for your God, if you have integrity for yourself, your community, your children, you will stay away from the evil demons. You don't want the demon forces to be your friends. You want nothing to do with them. So you cannot get that mixed up with your emotion. You see, you understand? So we get into Christ consciousness to let you know that when Christ returns, he's not going to be a 7 days Adventist. Christ not going to be a Jehovah's Witness. Christ not going to be a Catholic. Why? Why we know that? All of these names that we want to claim today. What did Christ say? Christ said, I'm going to come under a new name. What is that new name that he's going to be under? What are they going to put away? What are you going to put away when he comes? And I'm going to turn it around on you too. You see, where's the kingdom? We saw the kingdom coming from heaven, a new Jerusalem, a new earth. A new earth means new things, a new ways of things. And let me reverse it on you. Yes, Christ going to be a 7 days Adventist. Christ going to be a Catholic. Christ going to be an Hebrew Israelite. Christ going to be a Baptist. Christ going to be these things. Are you understanding what I'm saying to you? If it's too in-depth for you, well, you can step away from the room. So we must stop thinking that God not going to be this. This is your saying. This is not my saying. This is all you say. Christ not going to be this. Christ not going to be that. Christ not going to be this. This is the type of rhetoric we hear coming from the European churches. That is what they are practicing. When Christ is all, it's all in you. This is just confusion. That's what I'm saying to you. Christ is this and Christ is not that, and God is this and God is that. That is confusion. And if I make it more difficult for some of those, then you got to get into the mind of God. And it will be very easy. Going to take another break right here. Listen to Visionary Talk Radio with Reverend Bagan Tewa D Lamb. Christ consciousness right here.